Hello, people. I'm going to reveal what I would think is the major revelation in Resident Evil Retribution. Now, we all know it's for Alice, so it's, a revelation for her. I personally think it's actually going to be exactly what was said by Milla Jovovich, that the scale of Umbrella is really going to be revealed. Excuse me, more. Considering, the world, Earth really, is mostly degraded and destroyed and decrepit because of the zombification of the majority of the population, and things like everybody being cloned, Alice, just everybody. Wesker might feel like there's no real reason to continue with his experiments on Earth. And one of the taglines for the movie was "Evil Goes Global." I'm thinking that he's hiding out in some kind of space station, creating clones of himself, if there aren't already clones of himself on Earth. I've imagined a really good twist-type ending where the different iterations of Alice clones, like from 1 up until this movie, Apocalypse, Extinction, end up putting some kind of weapon, gun, knife, sword, whatever, to someone's head, and Wesker would say something to the extent of, oh God, always getting something on this fucking screen. Anyway, I didn't think you'd find me here, but it's good of all of you to join us. And then you see one version of Alice dressed in each of the individual clothing sets she's been wearing for all the movies. So it would represent her and her mindset and, where she is in all the different films, but in the new film. Now, I don't think they should introduce Jake Mueller, who's his son, per se, who I still think must have been one of the Wesker Sur children, and the connection would be, I guess, more of a fatherly thing for Wesker. Maybe I'm sure he can conceive, but I don't think he gives a fuck. But the one thing that does get me, and has gotten me throughout the whole Resident Evil movie franchise, is he's never as tyrannical as the video game version. And I can definitely say for certain that chances are one big thing that's going to happen in Resident Evil 6, the game, is that Jake, aka Wesker Jr., is going to square off against Chris and Leon as to who... Oh, it's probably going to be Ada Wong. They basically restarted Umbrella as Neo Umbrella. Tricell doesn't even have a place in that game, apparently. But yeah, Wesker's probably on a space station. I think it's only a big revelation if you don't think about it. I mean, I'm trying to think of every angle of this movie. Let's see. Now, one thing that I'm sure a lot of fans have thought and gotten pissed off over is like, why didn't you just make the games, into movies? For one, I can definitely say that a trend in Hollywood for years has been making every movie you can huge budgeted, crazy popular actors and actresses, and really not only outdoing what you did in the last movie, but going like 15 steps further and doing even more batshit crazy things that, you could say it's impossible and go beyond that. Now, where I live in Pittsburgh, I was actually about to go to the Dark Knight, but of course there were some shootings. There were like 12 people, or I guess all the way up to 17 people killed, and then a lot of people injured. Now, I'm sure Batman would, Batman and, considering Bane's in the movie, it would incite a lot of violence. But I think, the killer could just as easily get mad that it's the last Nolan movie, because Nolan makes real good Batman movies. Or it could be the violence. Because I'm sure a lot of people have wondered things like, why isn't this an R movie? It's got such immense amount of violence. And actually, you could rate something R for action, for the sake that it's so over the top that, okay, I'm deviating, but I would bet anything valuable in my life that Wesker's not on the planet, and that the frustration level of Alice not being able to find and effectively kill Wesker is going to be raised. And a lot of interesting little tidbits. Like, Oded Fair said that his character is two characters in one body. One who's, a slave for Umbrella and just another worker ant. Because Milla Jovovich said, like, all the clones of Umbrella are just like ants. You kill like 50, but 50,000 come back for you. And I guess they would make some kind of choice clone army trying to keep her away from the space station. And I think there would be things at the end of the movie that point to him being in space. Go Power Wesker, go Power Wesker, go Power Wesker, in space. 3, 3, 5. Okay. Burger. Whatever. But, yeah, there could easily be... I would love for the ending to have some kind of tri-cell shuttle launch facility. And some kind of line on Alice's part, like, blah, 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 you took it too far. I'm not just coming for you, I'm coming for blood. I don't know, something. And there's a good chance that this film's going to succeed. I've seen enough to know that this film's definitely going to go big at the box office. So that sixth installment that's been iffy, even with Paul W. S. Anderson, the director, is probably going to happen. I can tell it'll probably be a shorter movie, because I think that after all of this, after all Alice has gone through, getting straight to the point might just be the best case. And what I think is that it might not include anybody else. No Luther, no Leon, no Ada. Just Alice versus Wesker. That's just my idea. And I think it does come from a very basic idea that if you want to get away from somebody, miles and distance aren't important. It's how many you can put between yourself and that other person. I don't want to go into the sociological and physical and psychological miles. That's really a different story, but Wesker's in space.